Hey everyone, Chris Desmond here. I help busy professionals to better health and performance. In this video today, we're going to be talking about creating your health and well-being strategy for the remainder of 2023. Because really, how many of us are doing quite as well as we might have hoped at the beginning of 2023? Often we'll come into the year with a whole lot of ambitions or health targets, health goals, health actions that we want to go and move forward with. But most of the people that I work with have found the first part of the year has been a struggle to get those implemented. And that's because improving our health is hard. And we've all had times where we've been trying to make a change or even to keep something on track, and we've come up short of what we've hoped for. This doesn't make you a bad person, because health it's really an emotive topic. There's a lot of feeling associated with how we perceive our health and how we think others perceive our health. So it's not unusual to feel a bit of guilt or a bit of shame around our current health status or our current health actions if they aren't where we want them to be. And when we feel that feeling of guilt and shame, it's often easier not to continue to try and pursue those health goals that we're after. What we'll talk about quickly in this video is we're going to talk about why we need a strategy. We're going to take an honest look at our current well-being. We'll identify how health makes our life more meaningful. We'll identify our priority areas to improve and select some easy actions to create healthy improvement for ourselves. So the first question is, have you set a health goal or a health target or an action this year that you're falling short on? I guess the answer to that is probably yes if you're still watching this video now, but what do you think might have stopped you from improving your health or becoming consistent with that health action? And if we're struggling to be consistent with our healthy action, that's problematic for a few reasons. Because good health is important, and probably not dying is right up there in terms of the top of the list. But at its most simple, good health is a foundation for performance in every aspect of our life. If you look at teams like the All Blacks, they work on their ability to pass a rugby ball, to kick a rugby ball, to perform set piece, to attack and defend in broken play. But they layer all of that on top of the health of their athletes. The All Black players work on their sleep, they work on their nutrition, they work on their mindset, they work on their hydration, they work on their mental game as well as their physical game. So if they're not healthy and if they're not coming into a game in good health, then they really struggle to deploy their skill set in all of the other areas that they need to. And that's just the same for us in our roles as parents, as partners, as sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, as workers, as business owners. Whatever aspect of our life, health is foundational for us to be able to perform in that area. Many people that I work with like to get shit done, and they do get a lot of shit done, but at times they struggle to get shit done on their health. And it's not that they lack motivation or discipline or willpower, because they often have heaps of those in other areas of their lives. The problem is that they apply get shit done to their health too early. They want to get started and get going, which is really admirable. But when we start with a get shit done approach, it tends to be incompatible with how our lives work and what we care about. Because when we start to try and get shit done on our health, we end up setting arbitrary health goals which target metrics instead of activities that add value to our life. We do the health actions that we think we should do instead of the ones that add meaning to our world. And we listen to the bro science health gurus about the secret hacks that nobody is telling us about that we really need to do, instead of actually just focusing on the basics. Because good health happens from consistent action over time, following a strategy that fits us. And I really like this quote from Stephen Covey when it comes to thinking about our health, is management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether that ladder is leaning against the right wall. And so we need to apply a leadership approach to our health rather than a management approach, because there's heaps of reasons that consistent healthy action is hard, and I'm not negating any of those, but often the biggest one is that we choose to lean our ladder against the wrong wall. And if our ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, we have the wrong strategy, then we can deploy any amount of motivation, discipline, willpower, and we're still going to fail. And when I'm talking about failure in this instance, it's referring to not maintaining consistent action over time. And so I guess why do we stop consistent action if we're leaning our ladder against the wrong wall, if we have a bad strategy? Well, a couple of reasons. The action that we're taking doesn't add meaning to our lives. It's harder to keep going if something isn't important to us. It's not enjoyable because we end up picking things that we think we should be doing instead of ones that we actually want to be doing. We get disheartened when we don't make progress in the direction that we want to go. And often we try and be heroic before we're consistent. So we adopt that typical Kiwi mindset of the more we do, the faster we'll improve. And in most instances, it turns out that our heroism isn't that sustainable because it's often beyond our current capacity to cope. So how can we make sure that we lean our ladder against the right wall? There are 100 ways to skin a cat, and there are probably 1,000 times more ways that we can approach health and health actions that we can take. But to ensure that we're consistent with any health action, we've got to spend a little bit of time developing a health strategy that's unique to us. Because once we have the strategy right, then we can go and get shit done. And when we have the ladder leaning against the correct wall, we'll usually find it much easier to climb as well. Let's not overcomplicate our health strategy. When we're coming up with a health strategy, there's two important points for it. There's a here point and there's a there point. So it's where we are currently and it's where we want to go, where we want to end up. And we're going to start with the here piece, not this here piece, but the here portion of our strategy. And that's an honest assessment of our current health status. We're in the process of trying to sell our house at the moment, and as part of that, I gave it a wash the other day. I cleaned it up, and I probably hadn't washed it for about a year. And it didn't look particularly bad, but when I started washing it, I looked over and I was like, oh wow, that bit over there that I've just cleaned is so much nicer than this piece over here. And it didn't look particularly dirty until I started. But that noticeable difference between the area that I cleaned and the area that I hadn't became that honest assessment of, oh, actually my house isn't that clean. And it's nice and shiny now, but I hadn't really noticed that it was particularly dirty beforehand. And I wasn't aware of it because it was something that I saw every day. To me, it just looked normal. But what had been happening is it had been getting slightly dirtier every day since the last time I washed it, because I hadn't been paying attention to it. And so much like my dirty house, we're often unaware of our current health status. And at times it can be blissfully unaware, but other times it can be detrimentally unaware, especially if we're taking potentially some unhealthy action. So taking the time to honestly build awareness of our current health status is vital because it allows us to identify areas that we're already strong in, as well as areas for improvement. So we want to improve from where we are now to a new desired state of health and performance. And to do that, we need a path and we need a plan and we need a strategy. And it's really tough to create a plan to take you from here over to there if you don't first know where here is. So when you understand where you are and why you're here, then often your vision for there changes for the better as well. We can be more strategic about it. So clients that I work with often find it helpful to review their health in different facets so they can be more specific and set priority areas for improvement. So we're going to do a little bit of an exercise now looking at an honest assessment of your current health status. Now I have a worksheet for you if you want to grab a copy of the worksheet to run through this. You can do it with pen and paper, but I've also got a spreadsheet. If you want it, just sing out, leave a comment with worksheet below, or send me a message. Because we're breaking this down into health and down into different facets. This isn't an all-inclusive list, but it covers off a lot of the big important areas of our health. So we look at it here, we look at energy levels. How much energy do you have to get through the day? Does that change over the course of the week? Do you get up and have energy to burn every day? Or do you need to pace yourself and wear out as the week drags on? Or do you find it's tough even to get started? What's your fitness like? How is your strength? How's your cardiovascular endurance? Do you have some physical capacity to do hard things? How's your flexibility? Can you move well, or are you stiff and sore? Do you have any problems doing regular day-to-day movements or tasks or activities like putting your shoes on or playing with your kids? Are you confident with your balance, or are you quite cautious? Sleep. Do you sleep through the night and wake up feeling rested? Are you getting your 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night? Positive stress. Do you have things that, do you do challenging things on a regular basis? Not all the time. And do you put yourself in situations that cause you to adapt and grow without overwhelming you? Social connection. Do you experience meaningful social connection on a regular basis? Diet. Are you eating well? Real food, lots of plants, not too much, and staying hydrated. Most of the time it's not particularly rocket science. Relaxation. Do you take regular time to rest and relax? Not sleep, but in an enjoyable activity, ideally away from screens and devices. And purpose. Do you give a shit about what you do on a day-to-day basis? And mental well-being. How are you coping mentally and emotionally right now? Are you in a great place, or are you struggling? And so what I'd like you to do is, for each of those areas, I would like you to give yourself a rating from 1 through to 10. 10 is you're absolutely crushing this area of your life, and 1 is that you're finding it really hard, you're finding it challenging. And every month I sit down and do this activity myself. I give myself a rating, and I go through and give myself a number for each of these different areas. And then I ask myself the question of, why did I give myself that number? So you may want to pause this video now, and for each of these areas, energy levels, fitness, flexibility, sleep, positive stress, social connection, diet, relaxation, purpose, mental well-being, I would like you to give yourself a number from 1 to 10, where you're at right now, and then I'd like you just to jot a quick sentence about why you're at that level. So that informs the here area of our strategy. We know where we are. We've had an honest assessment of what is going on for us right now, and you'll find ideally as you repeat this exercise over time, and as you kind of track your progress with it, you're going to start to become more honest with yourself. Because some of these questions are a little bit hard if you're just starting to think about your health and if you're starting to have a close look at it. I know that when I first started to ask myself some of these questions, I found that I would ignore a lot of stuff, or I'd lie to myself about actually how I was really doing. I'd say, yeah, I'm fine, when actually I was struggling in a particular area. But the more you do it, the more frequently that you come back to it, the easier it gets and the deeper you started to go. So we've got that here part of our strategy now. So we're going to think about the there part of the strategy. We know where we are. Now where are we going? And most of the failure to sustain change happens when we pick a there without thought. So someone picks an outcome or a direction that they want to take because it looks cool or it's fashionable, or they think that they should do it, or our bro science health gurus tell us that it's a simple secret that no one is telling us about that's guaranteed to give you easy success when it comes to your health. But change is hard. Cool, should, and bro science aren't enough to take you through that hard patch to having healthy habits become part of your day-to-day existence. Instead, getting through that hard patch happens when change is meaningful to us and to our lives. And so now we're going to do an exercise again that I work through with my clients of defining what good health looks like for us in each facet of health. And the reason that I choose good instead of great is because often great gets in the way of change. Great gets in the way of progress. Because great requires us doing those 1% actions that don't really matter for us in the beginning. And because we're shooting for great, we get sidetracked by trying to do those shiny, fancy 1% things instead of building our strong foundations. And we end up wasting time, we waste energy, we make slow progress. But if we think about good, if we start there, it's simple, it's strategic, and then by the time we get to good, then we can start to think about great. So we're going to go back to each facet of health. And again, after I've asked you these questions, you might want to pause the video and spend a little bit of time with pen and paper or with the worksheet. Because for each facet of health below, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. The first is, what does good health look like for me in this area in 9 months' time? At the end of 2023, what does good health look like for me? And then I want you to ask yourself, how would that make my life more meaningful? So if you want to pause the video now and answer those questions, then go for it. Sweet. You've just developed your health strategy for the next 9 months of the year. You know where you are, you know where you want to go. There is your strategy. But let's take it a little bit further. What I want you to do is I want you to choose one, two, maybe 3 areas, 3 facets of your health. And we want to be consistent before we're heroic. And for each priority area of your health, I want you to write down one small action that you could fit into your schedule for this coming week. And these priority areas might be ones that you could score easy wins in. So you're a low number and doing something simple is going to bump you up. The priority area might be something that is really going to add meaning to your life. If you can improve that area, your social connection, your fitness, your mental well-being, your sleep, that's really going to create a positive change in your life. So pick 1 to 3 priority areas and jot down one action, one simple action that you can fit into your schedule that you could get done in this coming week. So what's next for your health? You've started to develop the strategy. So you've started to lean the ladder on the right wall for you as an individual. And now you need to do the work to turn your strategy into sustainable action. And so what you do from here, what you go on to next with your health, is you refine your strategy. You keep coming back to it, you keep looking at it, you keep redefining and building on that. And you build a sustainable plan to take you from here to there in the midst of a slightly chaotic world. And then you take the action that you need to take in order to put your plan in order to implement your plan. So it's simple, but the stuff is never easy. If you want a little bit of help putting your strategy into action, then starting from the first week of May, I'm running an 8-week group coaching program to assist you in doing just that. And it focuses on the best health and behavioral sciences so you can implement sustainable, healthy behavior in your life. We'll work on planning and awareness so you know what you need to be doing. We'll systematize your actions to make healthy action the easy action for you. And we'll develop your health stories and improve your health mindsets so the healthy action starts to become the automatic action for you. If you're interested in joining, then simply drop me a message or drop coaching in the comments below, and I'll send you through an outline and the logistics of what it looks like, and you can decide if you'd like to come along. But thanks for taking some time to build out your health strategy for the next 9 months of 2023. I hope this has been valuable for you.